Now, this can't be an easy time for your family. Of course, we know that Jenna, who we spoke to, would have turned 21 last week. Is that right?
That's right. Wednesday last week was her 21st birthday.
Won't you introduce our viewers who are perhaps not up to speed about Jenna and the Get Me to 21 campaign?
So Jen is my daughter. She was diagnosed with a very rare disease, lung disease, pulmonary arterial hypertension at the age of 16. Well, actually started at the age of 16, was properly diagnosed by the age of 17 in 2012. And did a lot of work campaigning for awareness on pulmonary arterial hypertension, which you spoke to her about. Because I suppose like with most rare diseases, what you need is not available. And a rare disease does impact a family so enormously. Not only are you dealing with the grief of the loss and disability of a very cruel illness, you're also dealing with the fact that what you need for your child isn't available. And so she did a lot of work around that, and then it's a very long story, but by the time she was 19, she was listed for a bilateral double lung transplant, emergency listed. She got worse and worse, was on full-time oxygen, on a mobility scooter, and on many medications. And by the time she was listed, you know, the weird thing is you think that you are dealing with the horror of needing a transplant, especially lung transplants are very difficult, so just facing that alone is terrifying. And then we realized that in actual fact that's not the only thing you're dealing with. What you're also dealing with is that in South Africa there's 0.3% of the population are organ donors. And it was around about then Jen, who had always wanted to have a social impact, and she wanted to make a difference. That was her life. She said, we have to do something about this. It's insane. This is Groote is the home of the heart transplant, and you can't have a lung transplant as a state patient, first of all. And second of all, the chances of you finding the right organ, if you're waiting, and there are 4,500 people any day waiting, are really slim, because only 0.3% of our population are donors. And that's how the Get Me to 21 campaign started, and it was really a very simple idea of her sitting in front of the camera, virtually one take. Jen was like that. She was very eloquent.
She was.
Very eloquent. And very authentic. And she just basically invited the whole of South Africa to her 21st birthday if they became organ donors. So anybody could come as long as they became an organ donor. And yeah, that's how the campaign started.
In speaking to Jenna, I think what I noticed, what our camera people noticed, and then what the country noticed when the interview was aired was that it was so much more than her, for her. She always came back to the 4,500 people who were waiting for this. And really, tangibly, she made a huge difference when it came to people who'd signed up to be organ donors. Talk us through a little bit of the impact of this extraordinary campaign.
Impact was greater than we ever thought it could be, and continues to be. She increased the amount of organ donors by 287% in 3 months. That's a lot. And she continues to make a difference, because we had 6 months in hospital together post-transplant. They weren't easy months at all. But we spoke about what she wanted. And even in her most private moments, that's the truth, Jenna came back to what she wanted to happen for all the other people who are waiting transplant, for all the other people who are PH patients who don't have access to the treatment they need. Always. And that was the truth of her. There was this incredible desire from a very young age to make some changes. And this became her journey, her path.